Okay.
Hello.
Hello. I felt like I haven't seen you for hours. Days, even.
You just saw me like an hour and a half ago.
I'm pretty sure this movie started 2 days ago, and I've been at the movie theater ever since. I wasn't supposed to be at this movie tonight. I was supposed to be at this movie last night, but not sure why, but the screening ended up getting canceled last night, so tonight was going to be my night off. But instead, I went to go see Slender Man. How was your evening now?
We're both not feeling too hot. We went out to dinner with his family like right after, it was like late afternoon, but right after I started getting a sore throat and getting really achy afterwards and just like chills. And I took medicine, but I still don't feel so hot right now.
You watched a Slender Man video, didn't you?
Is that what the movie's about?
Oh, well, don't jump the gun on that.
So like the ring?
So you have seen this movie.
No, I've seen the ring.
You've seen this movie. Okay, yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine from dinner earlier. I'm just in a bad mood because I saw Slender Man.
Well, I don't think it's food poisoning. I think I just caught something.
Well, so I went, it's like, okay, let me just get this fucking movie over with. At least I got to use my AMC A-list on this fucking goddamn thing, and not Movie Pass, which right now my Movie Pass is the app equivalent of a fucking paperweight. So, at least I didn't pay anything to go see this movie. It was actually kind of crowded in that movie theater.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
I assure you, I was the only one in there seeing that shit alone.
Probably one of the older people in the theaters, too, I would imagine. Okay. I guess you don't want to let me have a sip.
Surprisingly, I wasn't the youngest one in there. There was actually quite a number of older people in there. Maybe that's why it was so quiet and it wasn't that Bye-Bye Man audience that was shrieking throughout the goddamn thing. It looked like a bunch of grandparents took their teenagers to go see this movie, which is good because they fucking kept them quiet. And so did the movie, because the movie was goddamn lame. Do you know anything about Slender Man?
Yeah.
You do? Could you inform me? Because I just saw this movie and I don't fucking know.
The height of Slender Man, for me at least, was like, I want to say like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe longer. Because there was a video game app on your phone.
Okay.
Where you could play it and you have to find notes. And it's actually quite hard. So you have to go around the woods, find like, I don't know how many notes there are, but there's, I don't know, quite a few, like maybe 14 or 15. You have to find all of them because I think they're left by the kids that were taken by Slender Man. And then I forget what happens at the end, but if you see Slender Man and you don't run away fast enough, it just kind of starts doing static, and then he grabs you. It was kind of, if you played it by yourself, it can be a little, it was better than like Five Nights at Freddy's, or 3 Nights, whatever it's called.
Five Nights at Freddy's?
For me, at least. I never played Five Nights at Freddy's, but also I remember when it became pretty viral, like, on YouTube. A lot of people would, like, make videos of fake Slender Man. Like, they'd be like, oh, he's in the house, and then someone would be dressed up as him. They'd be kind of creepy and, I guess, creative, but...
I don't know much about internet culture, which is weird considering what my job is.
Well, I was younger.
This is why I have several moderators in the comments.
Well, I was younger. Yeah, like, the jump scare in the video game was kind of creepy, and also, where it comes from, I guess, is someone for an art project, they had to take a picture and, like, edit it or something. And there's one where there's a bunch of kids in line or something. It's in black and white. And in the background, you see, like, a very blurry figure of Slender Man.
Okay.
So I think that's where it started. I could be wrong. But that's what I mostly...
None of that shit's in this movie. This movie is about a guy named Gabriel Slenderman who ate himself to death and haunts people at a food court.
Wait, so that's Slender Man? He ate himself?
No, I just made that up. I'm sorry. I just wanted to... I was the only one who saw this movie, so I could really say anything about the plot.
And a lot.
What I just said is more interesting than what's in this fucking movie.
I'm a little bit disoriented right now. I don't know if I have a fever.
Someone in the comments, really? No, that didn't happen in this movie. This movie is about... This movie is about...
Slender Express.
Yeah. Slender King. This movie's about 4 teenage girls. One of them's Joey King from
Wish Upon?
yeah, Wish Upon. It's about 4 teenage girls who have a slumber party, and they're like,
Of course.
yeah, and they're like, the boys at their party are looking up Slender Man, and they're gonna dare each other to look at and try to summon Slender Man. So we should try doing the same thing. And then they do. They pull up the computer. One girl's like, "What's Slender Man?" They're like, "Oh, well, let me tell you." To the internet, and they're like, "Look at this forum. They're talking about
A creepypasta.
yeah. Don't summon that Slender Man." And so they do. They click they click a button.
The end.
They
Okay,
click,
I won't.
They click a button that says summon him, and then they watch a video, which is the video from The Ring.
Is it not the exact video?
No, but I mean it's the same.
Disturbing.
Actually, this movie is less The Ring and more Rings, that sequel that came out a year or two ago.
I didn't see the sequel.
It's they pull up a video and they watch all the way through the video, and then it's the video on the internet that's haunted them. So Slender Man
Rings, that one.
Yeah, the
I was
one from
thinking
like
of Ring 2.
No, the one
Or
from like a
Rings 2.
year or two ago. So the girls watch the video of Slender Ring Man, and he's haunting them through the movie, but they're like, they say, they go online, they're chatting with someone like, what do we do to get this Slender Man off our back? Is like, well, you have to like offer him something. So they're like, okay.
Yeah.
So they meet together in the woods. So it's sort of like the girl from The Ring, only if instead of killing you after 7 days, she just wants to bargain with you. So
Lame.
yeah, so this is just the first 20 minutes or half hour of this movie. So they bring these personal items to the woods. One girl brings a picture of her and her dad. The other brings like a cup.
Right,
Another
that's what
brings
you do to get rid of him.
Yeah. And then there's one rule they have, which is you wear a blindfold and you don't look at him when he comes up to you to take your items.
Right.
So what do? They hear a fucking noise and they take their goddamn blindfolds off. So the rest of the movie, he's called a virus, essentially a computer virus that's for your head.
I was gonna say, is it like a virus in a computer?
But it's for your brain. Like, he's a virus that infects your brain. He alters your realities, and he drives you insane. And it's one of those trailers where one of the last shots in the movie is in the trailer, and then one of the big key moments from the trailer is not in this movie.
Which one? I think I only saw the trailer a handful of times, and it was a long time.
What's a couple of parts you remember from the trailer?
Isn't there a scene where she stabs her face or eye or something? Or am I thinking of something else?
No, you're thinking of this.
Oh, okay.
That shit ain't in this movie.
Yeah, doesn't she like bang her head against the desk?
They're doing dissecting, and she takes the scalpel and like jams it in her eye or shit.
Yeah,
that girl is not in that scene. That girl they got rid of her like several scenes beforehand. Huh. There is a part that's in that classroom, but they're just dissecting stuff and like going about their day.
That is enthralling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it took me a second. It's like, is that not? Am I thinking of another fucking movie? Is that not from this movie? Oh no, that part's in the trailer. That's not in this fucking movie. There's nothing remotely close to that happening in this film. You want to know what he fucking does to you in this movie? This is a big fucking spoiler, but here's what he does to you in this movie. Slender Man, again, I don't know much about other than the information I've been given in this movie. Mm-hmm. Slender Man in this is just, he wears a nice suit, has no face, has like big tree octopus arms.
Like tentacles.
Yeah, has like big tentacles. Not a bad imagery, honesty.
Yeah,
like
it
could be made into it could be made into something decent. This movie has no interest in fucking doing that. So he shows up to bargain with you, but if you look at him, he haunts you and then he turns you into trees.
I don't remember that I never read the actual creepypasta, but I just remember how it got really like popular and the games and stuff. I don't know if he turns you into a tree.
He does in this. That's what
That's
he's doing with all
lame.
these girls. Yeah, he turns you into trees in the woods. So one, just if that's the movie you want to see this year, stick with Annihilation. It's a way goddamn fucking better movie than this. Yeah, by the end of it, he's just, I don't know, trying to save the forest. So all of these missing people who it's showing like flyers and shit throughout the movie, all these thousands of people who've been missing, they're all trees now. This is such an uninteresting movie. It's not scary. It's boring.
Did people get scared in the theater?
No, not the grown-ups who were sighing throughout the whole thing. The kids were perfectly quiet, having a nap through this. Not even the cheap jump scares were getting them throughout this thing. I just was tired during this movie. I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I wanted to be doing this shit last night. I wanted to have tonight off and not be going to see Slender Man in the goddamn fucking theater.
Yeah, I felt bad for you.
I could say, like, there are worse jobs out there. Like, my job, it's not like my job. It's not like I struggle through my job. A bad day for me at my job is like, I'm annoyed. Okay, fine, there's worse jobs out there. Like, so, so yeah, I'll be perfectly fine. But if I could think of anything nice to say about this movie, it's not a poorly shot film.
Yeah, the trailer looked kind of creepy or like nice looking at least.
There's a lot of like when it does like the weird images from the trailer, it's that at one point in this movie where it's just kind of there to be weird and like no other reason. But there are some shots where you could tell some thought went into them a little bit. Some transition shots where someone would be waking up from a dream, or, you know, even scenes where some characters are sitting there talking. You could tell the cinematographer was trying to not be total cookie cutter with how they're shooting this. There's some handheld work. There's some things they're doing with shadows and lighting. It's a dim movie. It's a foggy movie. It looks, there's a lot of like dusk shots in it. Like it looks and feels like a forgettable horror film from like 1996.
Oh yeah.
It's shot like a mid to late 90s horror film. Like whoever made this movie is maybe a big fan of Disturbing Behavior or The Craft. Like that's kind of what it felt like sitting through it. So it's better shot than something like The Bye-Bye Man or Truth or Dare.
Is it better than The Bye-Bye Man?
It's more forgettable than that. But keep in mind, a lot of what I remember about The Bye-Bye Man is that fucking insane experience we had going to see it.
That was the worst thing ever.
The Bye-Bye Man was, I think, more unintentionally funny to sit through, but a lot of that I can kind of rest on that audience. Mm-hmm. This was kind of a struggle to get through because it's just really, really, really boring. Mm-hmm. Some of the acting is fine. Like, Joey King's fine in it. The main girl, again, she's decent. The actors do their best in this. Like, but the way that these characters are, they're not, there's not much to them. Like what they're doing and what they're saying could honestly be kind of interchanged with each other. Like
not much character there.
No,
right?
not really.
Not personality that defines each character.
Whatever personality is there, or whatever thing about this character it really has nothing to do with anything that happens later. Like the main girl, they tell us she's good at track. That doesn't really factor into anything in this movie. There's one girl who's like, my dad's drunk. That actually does have pave the way for the weirdest moment in this film, which is the girl whose dad is a drunk is the first girl that goes missing when they're on a field trip to the cemetery. I didn't even know this was a fucking field trip until she went missing and they're hanging out in the bus afterwards. So they're on a field trip to the cemetery. And so she ends up going missing in the woods. You find out later she must have been turned into a tree. So she goes missing in the goddamn woods, and suddenly when the main girl and her sister are in the bedroom, they think Slender Man's come upstairs, and they're like, "Oh shit, we need to get the cops
And
on
it's
the
the
phone."
drunk dad.
Yeah, the drunk dad broke into her house. The drunk dad's banging on the door. Is my daughter in there? Drunk dad, fucking Uncle Cognac from the Illusionauts.
I was just gonna say, did he become the president of the AA
Yeah.
club?
That guy.
And what was what it was like, and he was never heard from again or something.
In this movie, this character's never fucking heard from again. This drunk asshole breaks into the girl's house to bang on her door. Where's my daughter? And then it's this. Some of the movie's shot fine, but the editing is kind of bad. Like, in like slow motion, suddenly this guy's getting put into the back of a cop car, and then the main girl's dad's like, "You stay away from my daughter,"
And then walk like an Egyptian.
yeah, edited like Gotti. So, yeah, and like the main girl's dad seems like he's like maybe kind of strict with how she's into track, but not really. That's
Not my
like
daughter.
that's like kind of part of one conversation, sort of, and it more so seemed like small talk, and that doesn't really come into it later on.
She has really harsh parents.
Yeah, and there was one. They're like, did you tell her what happened? What did you tell mom and dad what happened to the girl on track who left the team? And the girl's like, oh yeah, she was pregnant, so she's dropped out of school to raise the kid. That doesn't factor anything later on. The only reason that factors into something later is there's a dream sequence where the main girl looks down and it looks like she's pregnant. That doesn't have anything to do with anything. Like, she's not, and that was only like a passing conversation from earlier. It feels like there's a lot of stuff missing from this movie. I can tell from the trailer with the one girl who plucked her fucking eye out. And that girl, there was one creepy shot in this movie, and it's where that girl who put the thing in her eye in the trailer, a few scenes prior to that, like, they hadn't heard from her in a few days, and then they go to her house and look in through the window, and she then starts standing at the window and has this look in her eyes like she's been standing there for like 3 days, like awake.
That's
and
pretty creepy.
That actually was kind of a creepy shot. It was followed by something stupid where the two girls are walking away just going, oh, well, I hope she's all right. Like,
she's
friends
fine.
to the end. Like, yeah, and she's not even in the movie for the rest. I don't think she comes back into this film. Unless she's turned into a tree off fucking camera. And they break into drunk dad's house at one point. They're like, we need to find her laptop to see who she was talking to before she went missing. So Joey King distracts drunk dad at the door while the other two break into her house to go upstairs. Oh, whoa, what was that?
How does she distract him?
By knocking on the door and talking to him like, hey, I just wanted to say if you need anything, just let me know.
That sounds safe.
I fucking right. This fucking guy just broke into your friend's house like the previous night.
This belligerent father who's drunk all the time.
Yeah.
Hey man, I just wanted to pop in and say hi.
Speaking of hi, Ben paid a couple of dollars to say hi. So hi, Ben.
Hi.
I got nothing else to say about this movie. I didn't like being there. I didn't like being there. I didn't like much about this movie. Like, I hate the fact that I have to not only tell somebody I saw it, but describe the movie to someone.
And everyone else, all your subscribers will know too.
There's nothing. It's not so bad that I had to go see this fucking movie by myself, but then to try to have a 20-minute conversation about this fucking nothing of a movie that I went to go see. Why is this? This would be in January. Who the fuck are they kidding putting this movie out now?
Someone else asked something.
Oh, when are we going to see you and Irving share your thoughts on the rest of Just Getting Started? That's a good question, honestly. Yeah, we really do need to do that. I keep saying, like, well, this week sometime, but stuff comes up, you know. We will. For those watching, Irving and I did a midnight screenings late last year on this movie called Just Getting Started, which was fucking awful. And there was a they had to evacuate the building, so we only saw the first hour of the film. It's a fucking terrible movie, and we'd been saying like, oh well, we'll just watch like the rest of it when it hits video. We still will at some point. I don't know when. At some point we will. Even if it's years from now. How long have I been talking about this? Ooh, it just hit 20 minutes.
Good.
I made it to 20 minutes.
I need to take-
sort of talking about this.
I need to take some NyQuil and sleep.
And,
And
honey,
gargle.
isn't me describing this movie enough to put you to sleep?
I am tired. And I'm sorry guys, I'm not Irving.
You get a
Or not Irving, Brian.
They get a glimpse of what it's like when you haven't seen the movie and I come home and I'm like, let me tell you about this shit. all right, let's get you inside.
Yeah, and again, sorry I'm not Brian. I know he would have been fun, but you get me, almost sick Laura. Who's in the
Sorry,
hot car.
baby. I'm so yeah. All right, let's get out of here.
All right, see
All
ya.
right, later, guys. Take
Bye.
care.